We're getting ready for stage 3. Reverse sweeps preview show is here. And now that the first 2 stages, the first 2 months of this year of CDL are done, we've had a lot of movement and we're starting to see the potentials of even more roster changes coming in. We'll touch on those in a little bit. I'm your host, Katie Bedford, joined by Enable and Pacman. And guys, right off the rip, maybe don't tease the names, but if you had to give 2 teams that you think could potentially see a roster change, give me a team name.
LA Guerrillas.
I go Paris Legion.
Paris Legion.
Well, we'll get into those in just a little bit, but who knows, Guerrillas, Paris, maybe you've got some players on the chopping block. But let's take a look at how the second major played out first and why Enable and Pacman may have mentioned those 2 teams. Well, you can take a look. Paris and Guerrillas finished 11th, 12th. They're at the very bottom. They didn't get any prize money, followed alongside London and Florida. And then Toronto, of course, taking that top spot after an incredible run, starting in that winner's bracket and moving their way through losers and upsetting FaZe in the grand final. Now, guys, now that we're getting into stage 3, we are going to have a group shift once again. They're going to do it how they did the last 2 stages, where you have the top teams. Toronto will pick, then FaZe, and so on and so forth. Speculation time. We always love speculation. So Toronto, this FaZe got to pick last time. Toronto gets to pick this time. So who do you think is going to happen?
This makes it scarier, by the way. This is
Yes,
terrifying.
because Toronto won and they are one of the top 2 seeds. No one was expecting that. You're going to have a very tough group going into stage 3.
So I assume they're Group A. So they get to toss Dallas to FaZe, which is I'm pretty much we all agree that's going to happen. 100%.
Yeah. It has to be.
Already that group is ridiculous. So you're going to have Atlanta and FaZe and what? Who's FaZe toss?
Probably Minnesota.
Minnesota, yeah.
But then that means that Minnesota will then toss OpTic into FaZe's group.
So now,
so the top 3 would be FaZe, Empire, and OpTic in one group.
Yeah.
I don't even have words to explain for every other team that gets put in that group they're like, damn.
They're going to have a bad time. It's not going to be fun.
That's a rough group. And then the biggest decision to me is the one that comes right after. So if you believe that Thieves are that vastly improved, you could pick them in that spot. Personally, I would still pick the Subliners next because you don't want the Subliners to come back to your group. It is what it is. But if they don't and the Thieves are that good, the group is going to read FaZe, Empire, Chicago, Thieves.
Have fun with that.
And then it's like if Thieves does improve that much, one of those teams could potentially be in losers bracket. Yeah, they will be in losers bracket.
If FaZe polishes up the S&D, then suddenly.
Of all those teams, the one that wouldn't be worried about is FaZe. But between Dallas, Chicago, Dallas, Chicago, and would be Thieves.
Thieves, yeah.
I could see all 3 of them being in losers bracket.
That's where it gets crazy too, because it's only one series that they play against these teams.
Exactly.
Like I'm excited because I think the fact that Toronto did win this major, it shakes everything up. Because now we're really gonna see this. The third stage is gonna be where we see what teams actually show up to play and what teams start to slowly crumble and get put in a tough position at the end of the day.
True. And the thing that makes your groups truly lopsided is when you mispick the bottom. So last time they mispicked and Seattle was way better than they expected, so that group was ridiculous. And in my head, the team that I look at that's going to do that is Florida.
Yeah.
I feel like if Florida makes this right team change, you're taking a team that's at the bottom quarter of the league, and you can make a really strong team. So I'd be really careful about where I pick that team, because they have that potential with Skies and Awakening to just be disgusting.
I think the same could be said about Paris Legion too. If they make the right move, imagine if there's a possibility where Paris Legion and Florida are in the group with FaZe, OpTic, or Empire, Thieves. Like, I could see it could be even crazier than this past stage, how the groups went.
Yeah.
Which is crazy to say, because it was about as tight as it gets on both sides. It's going to be interesting, because we don't know what the pros and the coaches, how they're going to view it, because they might have more insider information on what teams, maybe they know who Paris is going for, who Florida is trying to pick up. So it'll be fun to see how things shake out and see what groups we get going into stage 3.
Let's talk a little bit more about some of those roster changes then, right? So the one that we know confirmed that happened before we recorded this, thank you, so we can actually talk about it on the show. Well, unfortunately for Slack, Slack benched on Florida, sorry. Slack
We're laughing at the men's
Florida.
downfall.
Apparently some maybe trials happening in terms of Florida, but let's start talking through some of the teams that are doing changes or might need changes.
Side note, who does tryouts anymore? When was the last time?
It's weird. That's not. It hasn't happened in forever. Back in the day, it would happen where it would be like, if you were on a team already, you would make a fake account. And you know what I'm saying? No, I can't be on today.
Somebody else has to post for a scrim.
Yeah. But I kind of like it. I do, because right now there's a lot of talent in the CDL that isn't starting on the bench, right?
Okay.
Temp, Slasher,
Havoc.
Who I mean, that makes the most sense to me for Florida, by the way, because he's already on their team. You don't have to, move any pieces. But there's also more talent in challengers.
There's a lot of talent.
And Ogre, too, is the GM of Florida.
Right.
One of the best FPS players of all time. He doesn't want to just rush into this, because if he rushes into this decision and it backfires, it doesn't look good for him, but also, then what? Now you're even in a worse position.
You're deeper in the hole. So, I mean, I get it.
So I like it.
I mean,
because you have time to kind of do this trial for these players and see who fits the best with their team.
I wonder if any team's going to be that team that, because nowadays the trend is, and it's been working out, so let me say that too. They've been picking up the new up-and-coming players that haven't played in the league yet, and it's been working out for most of them. I wonder if there's going to be a time when one of these teams goes out and picks up someone like Nada, who's been playing forever, but he's been playing really well.
The Subliners team, correct?
The Subliners challenge.
Word on the street, he's been one of the best challengers players this year.
The only thing he has going against him is history. The fact that he has been playing for so long.
His lack of effort.
Lack of effort issues in the past, and all types of stuff that comes with growing up and playing all these years. People already know about your issues. When you're a younger kid, they have no clue about these. You just come in and just play. So maybe that works against him, but apparently he's been playing amazing. So hopefully he gets a shot.
There's lots of options.
I've heard things like sibilants and all these types of players.
There's a bunch of players that you could argue for all of them deserve an opportunity, right? But Florida isn't the only team that I think will make a change. I think Paris Legion has to be one, Katie, that makes some sort of move.
Time we talk about Fire,
I think it's obvious he is the weak link on the team. He's had 2 stages, hasn't performed. I don't want to label him a bust just yet, but maybe he's just not ready. He needs more time in CDL. It's the big leagues.
It is the big leagues. It could be he needs a different team around him, different scenario, different game even, where the game just suits his style of play more or whatever it may be, but he hasn't played up to the standard he needs to play to stay in this league. After 2 stages, which I feel like most people don't get that much time. So
you don't, I mean, because it's a win now league. No one's trying to be a middle of the pack team. Everyone wants to win, and there's players that are waiting for their opportunity. They're on the sidelines right now, hungry.
Yeah.
Saints, Temp, Havoc. You said
Decimate.
Sid, Decimate. There is a lot of talent that are ready to come and take your spot. And Fire, unfortunately, he just hasn't been up to par. I think Paris gave him enough time. They didn't. It's not like he had one bad series and they were like, eh.
So we've touched on Fire, maybe his time dwindling with Paris. Florida has already pulled the trigger on making a change, and a team you guys teased out at the beginning, Guerrillas. But who would you change? It's hard, but they need it.
The thing is, it's tough because one, it's hard to get the higher caliber free agents like say Slasher. I don't think that he would even want to go play there. He's a competitor. It's just he wants to actually have the chance.
But I don't know if he would if it's going there or not playing.
Thing is, he is kind of like that. He wants to win so bad. He doesn't want to be in a spot like that. I'm not gonna put that on Slasher. I can't speak for him. Yeah. Whatever. Point is, they have a difficult decision to make when it comes to dropping players. They're all okay. The one that's shown the most promise to me is Silly. So if you told me I had to keep one, it'd be him. And then I guess Vivid plays like his stats have been pretty good. If I had to keep them, those are the ones I would keep.
I
guess. But
I think
you
you're
told
right.
me you're dropping any of them, I wouldn't be. I'd be like, all right, whatever.
You're right.
Where do you begin?
It's tough because they're not like Paris or Florida, where I think one player could make a huge difference in their team. It has to be multiple players. So you have to be able to get the players that want to come play for LAG. I definitely think they need to improve in the main AR role. I think that they're probably looking at Slasher, but it's like you said, does he want to go there? Will he be willing to go there to kind of reinvent himself and raise his stock, right? Prove that it wasn't all on him, the downfall. Right. But there also are a lot of challengers players who they'll go anywhere. They just want to
They just want that chance, yeah.
But now the bigger issue is, like you said, is who do you move? Because Silly's probably been the most consistent. You know App. App has always been a player who somehow gets better.
Over time
in a game. He starts out slow, and then once you get towards, the end of the season champs, he's one of the best. I don't know how it works like that, but for some reason, he's consistently like that. Then you have Vivid, who is a young player, and he's probably their most impactful player.
Right.
He's the one who opens up the map for his teammates. So they definitely need a big switch. I wouldn't be surprised if they go the route of having almost a completely new team. If I was the management of giving an opportunity to some of these challenger players, maybe Saints comes back to LAG.
That's the thing, though. They have bad history with Saints.
They do, but at this point...
They played a whole season with Decime and got rid of him, too. It's just...
Yeah. You got to try something new. You have to. You can't keep going with the same lineup. You can't just swap one player out and expect to not be last.
The Minnesota
change. No. Their team doesn't need that. The good thing about their situation, the only good thing is they're currently in 8th place in the overall standings. So if they get a team that's average, if they put together an average team from here on out, they will make it to champs.
That's a great point.
They'll be in a good spot. They just need to make the right moves, and they need to actually act.
So to be fair, that actually may give more people interest on joining them, because even though maybe they might not be as good as other teams that are below them, they're 8th right now. They're in the playoffs right now. They're so as long as they're not absolutely dog shit, they will make playoffs. Which when you're a competitor, you want to be at the biggest tournament at the end of the year. That's all that matters. But they have a lot to fix.
If they don't do something, they will get. I will put money on it that they will get passed up by Seattle.
Quick.
They'll get passed up.
Quick.
I think Florida's behind them. They're going to get passed up by Florida. Yeah. Paris, if they make the right move and they actually mesh, no question in my mind, they will pass them up. Like, they need to do something. And
they can't wait around.
Yes.
They have to make a move, because if they don't, and some of these other teams pick up these up-and-coming challenger players, then it's like, now we don't really have anyone. So we waited because we believed in our team, and we realized we were stupid for that. So that might have been harsh, but...
No, that's the reality of the situation that they've put themselves in.
Yeah, you're 2 stages in, so at this point, you have enough information to figure out if it's going to work or not.
And sometimes you just have to take a risk and act. Yeah. Like, let's give LA Thieves their props for that. They took a risk. That's a risk.
Benching Slasher is
a risk.
Yeah.
Act now, think later.
Yeah, they acted, and they're like, you know what? We put up this team. We're going to get last. We need to make a switch. We might get last, but we knew we were going to get last. So let's do something. Try something.
I agree.
All right, I'm going to throw this out there, and y'all might shoot me down really fast, but OpTic, do you think they'll ever need a change? Do you think they could ever change anyone on this roster right now?
Could they? Of course they could. Will they? No. I mean, if you're going to tell me that Envoy struggled, I'm never switching in that.
And I throw this out as a discussion point, so don't get mad at me. It's just
Katie thinks OpTic needs a team change.
Katie's calling for OpTic change. Katie said, boy, you better drop scope.
But so statistically, I'll throw it out there. Not that to me, it doesn't mean anything that Envoy statistically was the weakest player for OpTic in the major, because I think he's the best player on their team.
I agree.
But do you ever think it becomes a difficult scenario for OpTic if they can't make changes?
Yes. Well, so here's the thing, because I feel like I was in a similar situation to a certain extent as this OpTic team right now. When I was on FaZe, me, Clay, Attach, and Zuma, things were great in the beginning, right? But we became really good friends. Like, we looked at each other as brothers. Then when things weren't going as well, we were like, damn, we're really good friends, but someone's on the chopping block. And I think it doesn't matter of how loyal everyone is to each other on OpTic and Hex to everyone on the team. They've gotten 5th, 6th right in both majors, I believe.
They got
I think they got 4th in the first one.
4th,
5th, 6th.
That is not what OpTic should be getting. Not with this team. Now, I don't think they will make a roster change going into this stage, and I don't even know who you would say. You know, it's like they have so much talent. It's like, how could you possibly pick one person and be like, oh, he's the one? Unless internally there's an effort issue or someone, you know, like if Scump is just like, I'm done. You know, that could be the only reason I see them making a change. But if they don't improve and say they go into the next stage and they get fifth, sixth again, or even a fourth, it's like you can't just, you would compare them to LAG at that point. You're just
a higher level of it.
Yeah,
but it's hard because there's so much that goes into into OpTic in particular. They build like this whole content family thing that's around it,
which is tough.
Which is tough, and then no one's really playing bad. So it's like they're a higher level of LAG, like you said. So if you go to that point where you feel like you really need to make a move, your options are also limited. Just because Envoy, you're not going to drop him. Scump, it's Scump.
Yeah.
So unless he decides to stop,
yeah,
he's on the team. And then they already did the thing with Formal, and then they wanted him back. Like, they're the duo. So that leaves Brandon, Dashy. Dashy had that bad week or whatever it was, but he's been putting on. It's just the team needs to figure out as a whole. They should have gotten fourth again. Let me throw that out there.
They should have.
They should have.
But that's still not good for them.
It's still not, but it's not horrible.
It's not. Well, this four has the potential to win an event easily.
Yes.
Without making a change. Mm-hmm. But I don't know how much longer we go until they think, the players on the team think, you know what, we need to switch something up because we want to win. We're not trying to get fourth or third or even second. We want to win. It's interesting. It's way too early to jump the gun now.
Is it too early to jump the gun then on someone like Subliners?
No. No. No.
It's a different situation completely.
Yeah.
They are a team that no one expected to kind of do as well as they did, right, in the first stage.
Facts.
Considering how all the shifts happened for them.
Yeah,
exactly.
When they were, that's why we're giving Clay so much love. They did so much better than
you were like, wow,
predicting.
Clay is Clay just can do it with whoever. He's building, you know, it doesn't matter what obstacles are in his way. He's making a team that can compete. The thing is now, though, they clearly have not improved. They've gotten worse.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And then with Clay's tweets, with Hydra looking good, looking great in challengers, you wonder, is there a better time than right now to make a move? And even if, like you said, Katie, where Hydra's English isn't that good, it's worse than people were, I guess, expecting at this point.
Yeah, so we know that, to fill anyone in who wasn't familiar, so Hydra, his first language is not English. He is working with an English coach, but from what I was told, he's not quite up to the place they would want him to be a viable change if they wanted a change. So kind of still a question mark around Hydra.
But I'll let you take it away, actually. I know you have some feelings about this.
I feel like before I said you shouldn't be bringing them in, but they were bringing them in for scrims and stuff. They were putting him into these games, and my thing was I just wanted Hydra to come over and prove that he could do it in NA Challengers, and he did that. He won. Playing with Americans, they can understand him well enough to win. It might not be the highest level of competition, but those guys in NA or in Challengers in general, EU and NA, are going hard. So in order to win those, you have to be consistently performing. He obviously did that. They obviously could communicate well enough with him. There's no French NA people to play with.
That's a great point.
Why can't Clay understand them? I don't believe that. I feel like that's an excuse. I think that if he wants to play and they want him, they just have to make that move. The issue is, before it was easy to make that move because you just dropped ASIM, and that was the guy. That was their clear fourth player, the one that they took forever to actually pick up. But ASIM's putting on. Now the issue is way more difficult. We don't want to drop Mac. Mac has shown so much potential. Diamond Con seems to have been like he was the first original. Is he the Rookie of the Year guy? And then it's Clay, who in the first part of this in stage 1 was probably the best AR, or at least up there with the best ARs. In the second stage, he wasn't.
I mean, do you just think the issues might be more in Clay and where his head is at, affecting the rest of the roster as a whole and how they perform together?
Can we say that though? Because before this, they were 5-1.
Yeah,
they ran through their group of these.
I don't.
Well, that's what I mean. If it's a sharp decline for Clay after that, I don't know.
I don't think. Well, I'm not putting this on Clay because I think he's crafted these young players to even give them the potential.
He clearly has an eye for it.
Yeah, of being, of course, he's one of the best when it comes to it. But I just think maybe they surprised a lot of people. They shocked a lot of people. But now they don't have that fat, you know what I'm saying?
It's caught up to them, basically.
Yeah.
And, Mac and Diamond Con are great. So is ASIM and Clay. Like, they're all great players. But is it enough firepower? And you have this generational talent that everyone's telling me on the bench, whether or not he is where you want him to be at when it comes with the language barrier. If you don't make the move now, right? If you don't make the move now and say they get a little bit worse, they don't do so hot in the beginning of stage 3, and they're still like, no, Hydra's not ready, Hydra's not ready. Well, then do you pick up another player? Like do you, because I think Clay and Asim are pretty much safe, but do you bench Mac or Diamond Con for another player, and then you still have Hydra on the bench? Because then it's like, then it becomes you're juggling too many balls.
You take someone from at that point, you take someone from your academy team, because then you'd be like, listen, we don't know how long this is going to be. You come up, play, anyone would love that opportunity.
Yeah.
But you are juggling at that point. And you were talking about a team that before this major was a top 4 team. I don't even, in the standings, they still might be top 4. I'm not really sure. I can't remember. But you're still talking about a top tier team who just had a bad week at the very, very wrong time. But they still have that potential to be up there. I don't really buy into the retiring thing and
No.
I don't really buy into it, but I just think that when you get whooped like that, it just hurts. And Clay reacts both positively and negatively more than most.
Yeah. I mean, it's like you said, it was a rough weekend for them, right? It sucks that it was during the major, but we've talked about the bigger issues here, and it's the players that know they're not Clay, right? They know they're not safe, and hearing chirping of, Hydra's going to get some reps in with the team today. At that, you think about that. So now they bombed out of the major. I think it just, the longer they go, if they don't make some sort of decision, whether it's no, Hydra will not be playing, or he will be, they need to do something, because these players are young.
Right.
You know they're thinking about it now. Because before it was like, oh, we're not making a move. We just, we did great. We're a top 3 team in the game right now. You bomb out of the tournament, it's like, damn, I need to be on my A game, or else I'm gone. And I think that doesn't help anyone. So they need to, if they want to use Hydra, I think they need to bring him in for stage 3. Simple as that.
No questions asked.
Right.
And if not, if they don't bring him in right now, I don't think you can bring him in after this. I really don't. I think it's just, at that point, it's too late.
Well, quickly, let's touch on Thieves. So Venom seems to have been performing better with the change, bringing in Draza. Do you do anything with them, or do you let this roster build on itself?
I think you let them rock. See what they can do. See if they can become consistent. If they play like they played at the major, they will be fine.
Yeah.
They can pull together. Like they could have. There's a world where they beat Toronto
yeah.
in that series. So they will be fine. I feel like you give this team time, let them work out their kinks, let them figure out whatever it is that they need to be. But they all look comfortable in their roles on the team. If Draza played a little bit better in that series, they could have won. And he played fine the whole time. So.
Yeah. No, you definitely, you give them time to rock. See how they kind of perform after the honeymoon phase, because they're a very underappreciated team, I think, right now with this 4. This is a lot of talent. When you look at them, especially if Kenny running the main AR. You know what I'm saying? Venom looked a lot better. TJ looked a lot better as well, I thought.
TJ played really good.
And then Draza played great. Obviously, he could have played a little bit better versus Toronto, but they have a lot of talent on their team, a lot of pressure. They could be a very punishing team. We don't know if they're going to put all the pieces together now, but we need to give them time to see if they can, because if they can, I think they could be a team that everyone thinks, is a contender going to these majors. But we need a little bit more time before we try to see if they need to make another change.
Their group's going to be tough, so they better hurry up.
Yeah, well, we'll see. I mean, we'll see.
Where my 14-day at, Katie?
They showed promise, that'll be sure. So maybe they're your one to watch, but that's what we want to move on to. So players, teams, as we get ready for stage 3, as the groups are all shuffled up, who are you looking at? Someone that you think that our viewers should keep an eye on?
Do you want to go first, or you want me to go first?
I'll let you go first.
That's so nice of you.
I'll let you go.
They play
nice. I like it.
All right. My prediction for stage 3. Be careful. Watch out for whatever team picks up Temp. I feel like he's going to get picked up here shortly. And whether it be Paris, whether it be Florida, whatever team that is going to get a hungry player. A player that was playing well to start this year, who might not have been in a spot that was comfortable for him. Yeah. Especially if he goes to Paris. For whatever reason, him and Nick have like this really good duo chemistry thing going. And they could really, really make a team that's been on the cusp be really scary. And I think that if he ends up there, or with Florida, both of those teams just improve dramatically.
For me, my player to watch, this is going to be a hot take. It's going to be, you know what I do on this show. It's Illy.
Okay.
And here's the reason why. I think we've had enough time in Cold War to where you need to start showing some signs of improvement, even if you're not where you need to be. At least an S&D superstar. You saw how good he was in Modern Warfare. He's not been a great player in this game. Now, I know he has other superstars on his team, and he is a player that is willing to kind of take that backseat role, do the dirty work, let everyone else shine. He needs to perform in this stage. And I think this is where, I personally think we're going to see him show that jump, right, to where he was in MW, where you saw him constantly making those plays in Respawn, more importantly in S&D. He needs to become their S&D superstar. That's what he's there for. Because if he doesn't, and things don't go too hot, because we're all predicting they're going to have a very tough group, I think he would be the scapegoat if they ever decided to make a roster change. You know it's not Krim.
Kyler has envy tattooed on his neck.
Yeah,
so
like you're not.
No, you're right. It would be. I don't think it's gonna get to that point.
I don't think it will either, because I do think he will improve. Not only him, I think Shotzi will get there, Krim will get there, because even as bad as they looked, they're still top 3 team in the game.
They still got 3rd place.
But if things crumble, he's the one who will be getting the boot first. So I want to see a big stage for him. And I just want to see him put on, similar how Bance did, you know.
Yeah.
Bance was, people were chirping, hey, he should have been benched.
I was chirping, yeah.
I mean, everyone was. And he turned it around. I want to see Illy do the same for stage 3 and like get them in the finals and really have a shot to win stage 3 major.
All right, well, I think our producer, I can see it in my peripheral. I tried to ignore it, but they also want to know my one to watch. And not gonna lie, I gotta go with Octane. And I say that to Octane because
he's ass.
I want him to prove that he deserves the paycheck he's getting from Seattle.
A fat one.
Yes,
well.
and where is Black Ops 4 Octane? Where is that Octane that wins those sub-range gunfights with his AR and just looks absolutely unstoppable? Where is that person to start playing at the level Pristini's been looking so good for Seattle? I want to see that out of Octane, and I think we say this a lot, and maybe it's starting to get dangerously repetitive. You know he can. So I'm kind of sitting here, I'm maybe twiddling my thumbs saying, where are you?
That's a good one.
That's a good pick. I will say, I got 2 takes on this. One, I'll give him benefit of the doubt, right? Because traditional main AR playstyles, those players have not been playing too hot in this game. You look at the R-Cities, you look at the Octanes, look at the Slashers. Most of them just haven't been performing, not saying they've been horrible, but they haven't been performing to their normal standards, right? It just seems like in this game, it's hard to be as impactful and maybe go off compared to games in the past. But I've always said this, especially in Black Ops 4, Sam was like the only AR in Black Ops 4 that could run the ICR like a sub. No one else did it like him. And the Krieg, especially on the private servers of 60 Hertz, you could use that thing as a, Kenny uses it as a sub half the time.
You just go in. Yeah.
I think Sam is kind of in that mindset of like, I need to really be that human turd and kind of, especially on this team, help being a leader with Looney and keep everyone in check and whatever. I think he needs to not be so uptight, let loose a little bit. Because it seems like he's playing stiff right now.
I think that, I guess, early on in the season when the team is struggling, I always felt that the main AR was the role where if the team is not playing well around him, he has no chance. If the subs and stuff aren't doing damage and creating space, the main AR is going to struggle.
Yeah.
But now that the team is starting to come to form and
Pristini's looking good.
Pristini's looking a lot better.
They're all looking good.
They're all looking solid. I think now he has a solid basis to work off of, and I think the team's overall performance has been a lot higher. And I think that this stage, we're going to see Octane play at the highest level we've seen him play, just because now they should be comfortable with one another and with the title. And if he doesn't do it this stage, then it's just not going to happen in this game.
I agree.